Hello everyone, hope all of you are doing great. So today we have another unboxing video which is not about this CD. This CD, by the way, I got from another store and it was so badly packaged that it came in so damaged. The cover was in a terrible condition and even the holder inside the CD case was terribly damaged. One needs to be a little careful when it comes to which store you want to buy your stuff from when it comes to buying vinyls and CDs online. Okay, so again, a package from the vinyl tap. It was one of my bigger purchases, so really excited for what we have today. And let me just open these and see what is inside. All right. So here we have Ace of Base Gold. So Ace of Base is a band which primarily I was introduced to by my sister, who was in college when I was a kid, and some of the songs used to be played a lot for the dance parties that used to go on in that time, and that's how I got to know about this band. The Sign, All That She Wants, Wheel of Fortune, these are one of the biggest hits when it comes to this band. This band is not like my all-time favorite kind of a thing, but since I was introduced to this band by my elder sister, I kind of followed it over the years, and this album definitely is the album that I enjoyed the most by this band. So I can't really think of any song which I don't really like, and this is a record which I'm really eager to listen to. So I'll just open it up in a while and I'll just give it a listen. Now this record, guys, was an absolute blind purchase. Neil Gaiman is one of my favorite authors. I love his stories. I love his style of writing. It's just magical. And I got to know this was a Kickstarter project he conducted back in the day, and it was funded immediately and it was received so well. I went ahead to check some of the reviews that were there for this album. All of them had great things to say. So a complete blind purchase. I have no idea what we have in this, but I just got it anyhow. And that's the details for the store. If any one of you want to go and check out the store, go ahead. I would give them a 5-star rating for the way they package, the way they deliver, and the way they attend their customers on their customer service portals. All right, so this is The Visitors, the Abba album, which I have heard the least. I was quite surprised to see that there were actually quite a few tracks which I had actually not heard before. So really eager to listen to this on vinyl. Obviously, I had heard this album on the streaming platforms that we have. So that was the main sleeve. This is the sleeve with the lyrics on it, and this is the record. I'm really curious. I just can't decide which record I'm gonna play and spin first, but let's see. Maybe I'll listen to Ace of Base, or maybe I'll listen to this one. I don't know. Looks in a good condition, no scratches, but we'll have to play to see how it actually sounds. This store has made it so convenient to buy records that I'm really kind of spending more than what I should be spending, which is not a good thing. Okay, so we have Abba the album again. It's a used record which I was getting at a very good price, so I got it. And again, the main sleeve, and it comes this orange label. The record looks again in a good condition, no scratches anywhere, some dust depositions, but doesn't look like something problematic. Okay, now this is a singles track. It has one track on each side, and an impulsive buy, but I really like the song We Belong by this artist. No, I haven't really heard a lot of songs by this artist, Benatar. I know she was quite a thing back in the day in the 80s, but some of her songs I really liked, and I kind of found two of my most favorite songs on this record, so I just went ahead and I just bought this. So it has We Belong, which I think is a wonderful track, and it has We Live for Love, which I think is also a great track. So that's what we have here. We have a list of available titles, I guess, which I'll check out later. And then we have these two series. So Robbie Williams Greatest Hits and No Doubt Singles. Now these are two albums which, again, impulsive buy because I was getting at a very cheap price. No doubt some of the songs I really like, and instead of going for the individual albums, I thought it would be a good idea to just go for their Greatest Hits Singles album, which kind of had all the songs that I really liked. And Robbie Williams has his new album called 25, if I'm not mistaken, re-recording of his favorite songs, which are not essentially his greatest hits. And I heard those songs, but somehow I felt that before getting that album, I wanted to have his greatest hits. So that's what we have here. Okay, guys, so these are all the purchases, and I'm just going to give them a listen, and probably I'll sit back again and talk about all these records in detail after that. So I just gave the albums a listen, all the albums, the ones on the CD and the ones on the vinyl as well. I don't think I'm going to talk about all of them because this video will be too long otherwise. I know no one watches these videos when I talk about the records and all of that, but fools never know when to stop. So let's talk about the first thing that I got here, which is Pat Benatar's We Belong. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. So it's essentially her hits song We Belong, and then two other songs with that. I got this particular record for £5. Now this was a used record, so I don't know if we can get more of this on the same price or not. Talking about the production of the whole thing, the cover is very flimsy. The paper is generally not this thin, but it was so in this case. The record is also a thin record, not a thick audiophile thing, but I think back in the 80s, that was the standard practice, how these things were produced. Talking about the audio quality, very good sound. And this song I have heard so many times. This is a song which I was introduced to by the radio channels here in India. There used to be this one show that used to play English songs. It used to happen once in the evening and once late at night, and that's how I was introduced to this song. And whenever I would listen to that song on the radio, there would be a lot of bass in the song. But when I wanted to listen to this song again, recently when I tried listening to it on all the streaming platforms, the bass was kind of missing. So I think when I played it on this record, I was happy with the balance of the bass that I was getting in this song. So I'm happy with the purchase. And it's a 45 RPM record, so it catches the details also really well. Now talking about the Abba albums, two of them, one was The Visitors. Now The Visitors is an album which basically happened towards the end of their career. It was actually the last album they did together, and then after so many years they came together to give us Voyage, and which just happened I think last year if I'm not mistaken. This happens to be like the album which I have listened to the least, and therefore I Let the Music Speak is a song which is coming to me with all its freshness, and I think it's such an amazing song. Most of the other songs I had heard already, but one thing which I very starkly noticed about this album was that Abba already was experimental in their own way, but with this but over the years they developed their own style. So after a while, when you heard an Abba song, you knew it was an Abba song. They were not as experimental as, let us say, Queen would be. It's unfair to compare the two. I know I would get a lot of heat for this comparison as well, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. But this album is kind of like, I think, their epitome in terms of their experimentality with the music that they created. I was looking up at all the different reviews that this album received when it was released. It, I think, wasn't received that well. But all of that kept aside, guys, I think if Abba's music grows on you, and if you're patient enough, if you listen to this album, I have a feeling you would enjoy this album in a very different way and will probably enjoy it more than the other songs, because this is something quite different. It was a used vinyl, by the way, guys, and I got it for £6. Then Abba, the album, again a few songs which are not very popular, Hole in Your Soul, and that's probably the only song which I think never became that popular. Now these albums are presented as orange label albums, so I need to figure out what an orange label means. And in case any one of you knows what an orange label for an Abba album means, please let me know, because I did run a quick search on Google and I didn't really hit any results for that. Now Ace of Base, as I mentioned before, is not my all-time favorite band or anything. It's just that I have a lot of memories connected to the songs due to certain reasons. And Ace of Base's Flowers, this album is probably the album which I actually enjoyed the most. I think I must have heard all the albums, but this was one album which really, I think, worked for me. Most of all because I think they tried something very different with this album, and it sounded very different from their previous albums. I didn't really enjoy the album that came out after this album, and this album particularly was reminiscent of the music of the 60s, I think primarily. And the way they have packaged this album is also really impressive. It's not just putting a record sleeve and then all of that. The way they have printed this, the kind of paper they have used, and the kind of sleeve they have created, it seems to be the same kind of printing that used to happen back in the day, and they've kind of recreated that whole feel with this record. This particular record is produced in Czech Republic, so that also speaks volumes about it, I guess, because I've heard that the best records today are being pressed in Czech Republic. But somehow I was looking for this album in a 2 LP edition. I didn't get that, so whatever I got, I just purchased that. I think I got this one for £19 if I'm not mistaken. And when I opened this album, I was like so blown away by the way this clear blue vinyl look. It's just something else. It's not that I have not seen clear vinyls before. I have one clear yellow vinyl, but it just kind of like I was just so happy to see this. And getting to the listening experience, I think it does fair justice to it. Music from the 90s is different, so one can argue that do we really need to have that kind of music on vinyl, but I didn't want to get into that argument. But all in all, these are the purchases that I made, and I think I'm really happy for these purchases. A big shout out to Vinyl Tap, the store that I bought these albums from. I think they do a tremendous job when it comes to making sure that whatever you have ordered reaches you in the best condition possible. Alright guys, so that's it for today, and I hope all of you are doing great, and soon I will be uploading another reaction video to an older Coke Studio song, so that's lined up next. And until next time, keep listening, keep watching, keep reading. Cheers.